Welcome to the Sharpe Way. So happy to have you with me this evening, a little bit past 8 p.m. on the East Coast. Yes, I'm a few minutes late. You guys always complaining on me because I'm late. I'm a few minutes late. We had technical issues. It's my fault. I should have jumped on earlier and fixed them earlier, but I didn't. I was trying to decide if I wanted to have dinner or not, and I chose not. So now I'm going to be hungry. So now I'm going to be all mean and nasty during the entire show. Meanwhile, the people who are with me, they're eating. So they get to eat and I don't. We saw yesterday, the other day when Dan was eating, and now Jerry's going to be eating. So everyone's going to be eating except for me. It's fine. I don't care. It is a member show. And for those of you who don't know, that means members get to come on and hang out and chat and talk. And you will see some of the faces of the people who will often comment and sit here and go back and forth on the show. And we're going to chat about something special today, but let me bring them on if I could. You know her as many things, VA lady, Liberty lady, but she is also known to me as Dee Dockery. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Also, we have a guy, he's a writer and someone who was a little bit, wasn't sure if he wanted to come on with his face, but I kind of pushed him in the end to come on and show his face. A lot of these writer types, they're good writers, but they don't want to be seen. That's okay. He can be both seen and heard and written, all the things. The man himself, Curtis Christensen. Is it Christensen? Did I get it right?
Yeah.
There we go. Look at that. I'm glad you're here.
Glad to be here.
Our returning champion, the man who's been on our show before more than once, the man who met the legend, Jerry Deutsch. How are you?
I'm feeling great. It's always great to speak with you, especially on the show. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. And look, I want to start with something which I think is interesting. These last couple of shows that we've had, there's been some back and forth, I would say that. Some of it's been a little bit negative, some a little bit aggressive, some not. But that's been a much more common thing nowadays with our politicians. And Nancy Mace, Republican politician, was in a store like a Walmart or Target, wherever she was, and was insulting somebody who was talking to her. And then recently, Ilhan Omar, of course, Republicans, Democrats got to show us that when it comes to yelling at people, they are exactly the same. They had to do that. She did something too. So I want to show you a little clip from The Hills Rising. Hold on, so we got to do some. Hold on. Do I have any? I do need some sound. Is the sound not there? There is no sound. Hold on. Oh. There we go. Let me get some sound. So, there we go.
Congresswoman Ilhan Omar had some not so nice words for a reporter who tried asking her a question. Miles Morell of the Daily Caller News Foundation captured the moment and uploaded it on X. Let's watch.
Congresswoman Omar, I'm Miles Morell with the Daily Caller News Foundation. Do you think more of your Democratic colleagues should be traveling to El Salvador to advocate on behalf of Rodrigo Garcia?
I think you should.
I'm sorry, what, Congresswoman? Who should?
You.
Why me?
We're not taking any questions right now, but here you
go. Yeah, thanks.
Not taking any questions right now might have been a better way of dealing with that than to F off. I'm just saying, maybe I've gone too far. But this is becoming more and more common, isn't it? And there's a part of me, to be very forward, there's a part of me that actually likes it. There's a part of me that feels like, well, now they're being themselves. Now I'm seeing the real them. And if they're really a jerk, then now I know they're a jerk, right? And there's a part of me that goes, no, what are you doing? This is not how you're supposed to be. I'm kind of torn. Where are you?
Who's
Curtis
going
doesn't
first?
care at all. He doesn't care at all. Curtis is like, I don't care.
Well, I prefer my politicians to be angry and yelling at each other and like fighting for stuff that I voted for them to do for me as my congressperson.
See, that's what I think. I'm with you on that piece, right? I think this is the result. I think this is the result of nothing getting done, a frustration that people want to see somebody fighting and they don't care if they're swearing, they don't care if they're yelling, they don't care if they're cursing. They're like, someone's fighting for me. And I feel like no one's fighting for me. I'm kind of with you, Curtis. I feel like a lot of Americans are okay with this.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's necessarily, I think it's just circus to me. I think it's just a pony circus. And that when you look at, for instance, I had some notes about when I don't know if you guys know who Tim Burchett is from Tennessee, but he comes out on the floor and he'll go on to a live stream and just talk about, hey, I just voted no on this specific bill. This is how your rights are getting, trampled on because of these particular bills. But why is it okay for somebody like Al Green, or it's not okay for Al Green to shout on the House floor, right? Republicans screamed at him for doing that. But then when MTG did it for Biden on the floor, that was okay on the Republican side.
Well, because that's my guy.
Yeah, well, I'm a libertarian, so I bash both sides equally. So I give it to both sides. So to me, I think it's just a circus.
Mike Voss is in the chat, and he says the disrespect is an insult to the public. Is it, Mike? I mean, people look. Curtis is like, I'm glad they're fighting. I kind of am too. Dee, I think, is on your side. I don't know, Jerry. Who's right here? Who's right here, and why is it me?
This is what I have to say about this. I think you hit it on the nail on the head. It's entertainment. Our politics has become blood sport. The closest analogy is what my grandfather used to do. Would sit in front of the black and white TV in Sunnyside, Queens, 46th Street and 43rd Avenue.
I know where that is.
Professional wrestling came on, and Bruno Sammartino was there. And boy, oh boy, whoa! And when he beat those bad guys, but those bad guys were loud and it's damn entertainment. And the reason why they keep doing it is very simple. It works. And the problem with it working is all of a sudden it's not only them. It's now you have the people on the right and the left.
Yes.
So, for example, Bobby Kennedy. Right now, anybody that's on the left side hates this guy. They used to love him, but now he's all of a sudden this bad guy. People that agree, for example, I know some people who they chose natural ways of raising their kids. They didn't give their kids vaccinations. They believed in homeopathy and natural food and everything else. Yet, since COVID, all of a sudden, Bobby's an anti-vaxxer, and that's a terrible thing. But that's what they were for years until COVID. So it's insane.
What you said, it's like just like in wrestling, right? You would have it, for those of you who ever watch wrestling, the entertainment part is they would sometimes change. One guy would be from a good guy, he'd become a bad guy. And when he became the bad guy or the good guy, all of a sudden the crowd would just change. Oh my God, he's a bad guy now. We have to hate him, right? If those of you remember back in the day, people don't know this. Hulk Hogan, one of the most popular wrestlers of all time, began as a bad guy. He came on as a bad guy. He was a bad guy and he was the heel. And then one day he was like, Hulkamania is running wild. And they turned him into a good guy and everybody loved him. So we're watching wrestling, Jerry.
That's what they're doing. And it's amazing to me that it works because that's what they want. That's what people like. And people want to do that. And so they see Omar do it, and they see it going, and they want to do it with their friends. And they don't care if they're wrong. They don't care what's true. All they care about is fighting. Sorry, Curtis. I know you like it. You see, they're coming for me. Can you hear them? Can you hear them out there?
They heard you. You're talking about RFK. They're coming for you now. That's it. That's what happened. Curtis, look, you are a storyteller. So tell me, is this at least a good story, or is this even a bad story? Because it's clearly.
It's.
No, is this a good story or not?
I wouldn't say so. It's a little too over the top, a little ridiculous. You want a little subtlety with your plot threats and stuff. This just seems a little almost goofy.
But then everyone's. I'll go back to Jerry's point though. And still to this day, isn't wrestling campy and a little goofy? Isn't that what wrestling is, right? It is campy. Like everyone's over the top good guy or over the top bad guy, or they're like, I remember when I was a kid, there was like the Iron Sheik. He was like the stereotypical Iranian guy. And right, everything was like a stereotype of the guy, right? That's who he was, or whatever. I think it works.
But that was great because we knew it was entertainment. I would sit there with my grandfather. We would relate. But what we really are now, when we can't make the distinction between entertainment and education, and that's the problem. People would rather be entertained than educated. I mean, that's why I'm promoting the Institutes for the Achievement of Human Potential, because they believe intelligence is is extremely important. We want more intelligent people, and that reading is a brain function. Let's teach kids to read at 2 years of age so they will be more educated, they will be better consumers, and they'll not be so taken by the entertainment. They'll actually look to see beyond the entertainment and make good choices for their lives.
I love that. And by the way, I've been to that facility. If you guys want to check it out, the details of it are in the show description. If you want to check that out, please feel free to check that place out. It is an amazing place. I've been there myself. So, Dee, you're saying that you think it's kind of like entertainment. However, isn't this affecting our lives?
It is, and social media is amplifying it, right? Like if we went 30 years ago, you wouldn't have known that she screamed at the reporter like that. And look at the reporter. He wants to get click bites. He wants to get reels. He wants to get views. So he hopes that FU from her goes viral so that he can get the clicks and the money and the monetization and such not. And by the way, if you're not subbing on Larry Sharpe's all the places, you must hate him because you need to sub him too. So
yes, yeah, get with the program, guys. By the way, Lunatic is doing a couple of super chats. Thank you, Lunatic. He says appreciate the members. 100%. Yes, there is value in being a member because you're right here because you're a member. Absolutely. Not just that. He also says I must be over the top lunatic of reality. Well, this I think goes to your part, Dee. I think Lunatic is kind of saying the same thing. There is so much media out there that how do you get past that, right? How do you get to that next level? How are you able to do it without being over the top, right? And I would say, here's the answer. Click the like button. That's what I would tell you. Do that now. Click the button known as Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. Click that like button so I can get over the top without being, I don't want to have to put on my Hulkamania and rip my shirt off. I don't want to have to do that. I mean, I will, but I don't want to have to do that. Instead, click the like button. It's a whole lot better. Go ahead, Dee. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just entertained by that right there. I'm thinking of like a reel on Facebook of you doing the t-shirt rip.
Yes.
And do WrestleMania.
Sharpomania is running wild.
There we go.
Yes.
It'll get you clicks, Larry.
It will get me clicks.
There you go. I think Tim Burchett is kind of doing the nice polite way of doing it, right? And then even Thomas Massey there for a little while when everybody was bitching about Thomas Massey, all of a sudden he's a rhino and they want Republicans want to primary Thomas Massey, which is the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my life. He's like a 97 on the Liberty score and GOP are calling him Rhino. No, that's not what he is. But
let's not forget though. He's not. He's a Republican in name, but he's really a libertarian.
Exactly.
I mean, Thomas Massey's really a libertarian.
Well, I can't talk to MAGA about that. So MAGA definitely does not like to have that conversation.
They don't like that. No. They do not like that. No. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying it's technically correct then because he's a Republican in name only. He's a libertarian. But
he kind of is a rhino. I'm just saying, he kind of is.
But they put him in the likes of AOC and people like that. I mean, if you think of Thomas Massey, you're not putting him in the pool of AOC and Pelosi and people like that. You're just not. If you are, then you have no idea who Thomas Massey really is, and you don't know how he votes.
So maybe this is a good thing, right? Maybe this is a bad outcome or a negative outcome for certain parts, but maybe it's actually a good thing. What I mean by that, with all this social media, with all these cameras everywhere, maybe we're finally seeing who these people really are, right? And maybe Ilhan Omar, who always tries to be super cool and whatever, Nancy Mace, who tries to be so uppity and whatever she is, right? Maybe they're actually a bunch of people who just yell and scream at people. Maybe that's who they actually are. And now we see them. And in that regard, maybe that's not a bad thing. I mean, maybe we decide, hey, I don't care if Nancy Mace is mad. I'm a Republican, so all good. Or I don't care if, Ilhan Omar is bad. I'm a Democrat. It's fine. Maybe you don't care.
I think what we're seeing with all of these politicians is to some degree, they're addicted to hate. They're just addicted to the emotional rush, to the adrenaline rush that happens when you get, angry is one thing, but then hate and rage is another thing. And I think they're addicted to what happens in their body when they do it. And I think people that become their fans and their proponents have the same problem. That, I believe, is a psychological problem. And I think, as Bobby Kennedy says, we've got, half our kids are on drugs. Well, they're trying to feel better. They're trying to get that rush because the food that they've been eating has been dumbing them down so much that's the way they get the rush. They get it through the drugs. They get it through the anger. That's why we have all of the violence that we have, in my opinion. And I think Bobby Kennedy is on the right track, and that's why they hate him so much. Because
let me touch a couple of those pieces. First one I want to touch is I am with you on that idea because I teach this when I teach emotional intelligence. The opposite of love is not hate.
No.
The opposite of love is apathy.
That's right.
Hate and love are actually very close. And when I'm dealing with couples, I can't be a couples therapist. That'd be against the law in New York State. So I don't do that. But I do some couples work is what I do. Anyway, so when you deal with couples, if the person is actually angry at you and is responding to you, you still have a relationship right now. It may be a bad one, but it exists. Maybe you can repair it, maybe you can't, but it exists. If the person doesn't care and doesn't mind and ignores you, you don't have a relationship anymore. It's over, right? Now it's done. There's nothing to repair. It's over. Apathy is the end of the relationship. Anger, maybe there's still something you got a shot. Maybe you can fix it, but you can't fix it. No one cares. So I'm with you exactly, Jerry. And the second piece is we aren't happy, right? And I bring this up often. People who are happy don't often seek pleasure. Everyone looks for pleasure, but not often quick hits of pleasure. When we're not happy is when we're constantly seeking little quick hits of pleasure. And I think you're exactly right.
And so what can we do about it? I mean, that's really because the past is my father used to say, was hast gewähnt, schon nicht du, which means that's in German because that was his, and that means what's done in the past is past. It's not here anymore. It's far away. And let's move forward. And one of the things is Margaret Anna Alice wrote a poem called "Mistakes Were Not Made." What we have seen here, we like to say, "Oh, the Vietnam War, it was a mistake." Oh, the Gaza is a mistake. A COVID, the way we respond, it was a mistake. It was just a mistake. So let it go and let's move on. And I think we have to make a distinction between willful mistakes and truly accidental mistakes.
Absolutely. Dee, go ahead. I know you're ready to talk.
I will never move on from COVID. They want you to forget about COVID, and that is what made me walk from GOP. It was Trump's first term a year ago, and he just folded like a cheap whatever the dang slogan is and shut the country down. And I can't talk to MAG about that either. They say, oh, it was the states. The states shut it down. Well, Trump went after Brian Kemp when he tried to open early. He said bad stuff about one of the Dakotas when they either never closed or closed briefly. They try to say that Florida didn't close. I'm in Florida. We closed. We might not have been as much, but we closed. So there's that big lie because anybody outside of Florida thinks we never shut down. Oh yeah, we shut down. They actually came and arrested somebody on the beach after the the mandates, and you had to come in for the whatever it was, when you had to be in at 8:00 p.m. for the curfews, and somebody on the beach got arrested during that. So you can't tell me that Florida wasn't locked down. We were. And then also Trump went after Sweden because I believe that they never shut down.
Sweden never shut down. Yep.
But you cannot talk to these people about this. And there are receipts of him saying this, but you just can't even bring it up. It's just they scream at your face.
The other issue is
the states.
But they do have a point, though. And the point that they should be saying, which is they weren't as bad as California and New York, which is an accurate statement. But they don't say that. They act like Trump was perfect. He wasn't perfect. Was he better? Was Florida better than New York? Yes. New York was the worst.
One bullet through the head is better than 3 bullets to the head. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, Larry.
True. You're right.
I've got to say,
I might survive one. I'm not surviving 3, Jerry. Come on now.
But, they need to take accountability for their actions.
Yes.
And, Dee, I think I hear you saying, oh, sorry for that motorcycle in the background, but I hear you saying Trump is not perfect. I mean, really. And so we have two poles. We have the people that think he's perfect and he makes no mistakes. And then we have the other people that think everything he does and everybody that's associated with him is evil and horrible. How do we get away from that dialectic? I mean,
one of the things is what we do here. If you watch this, I know you have, Jerry, but I very often will say when I think Trump is right. I'll say when I think he's wrong. I say when I'm worried about it. I say when I'm satisfied. I say when I'm okay, this is better than not having it or whatever. And I'm being very forward. Trump did lock stuff down. You're right, Dee. And both are true. New York was way worse. Cuomo was way worse. Cuomo was killing elderly people. I mean, way worse. So
excuse me.
Both of those things are true.
Are you talking about the next mayor of New York City, Larry?
I am. My next mayor. I am talking about that man. Correct. Yes. I called him King Cuomo, second of his name, killer of elderly, grabber of butts. He's amazing. Let me grab a couple super chats if I could real fast. Ryan says, Sharpe Mania is running wild on the duopoly. Yes. I'm not sure what lunatic means by this. They ended his wife, one-page bills, lunatic liberal. I don't know what that means.
Interesting. I think that might be to do with Thomas Massey. Maybe. That's
no.
Interesting. I mean, Thomas Massey does one-page bills, and his wife's not alive anymore. I don't know.
I do not want to believe that.
I don't either.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying I don't want to believe that. That's what I'm saying. Wow. Lunatic, I hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong, Lunatic. I don't want that to be true. That would be horrible because you know what? There's two parts there, right? If something like that is true, at one point he has nothing to lose.
Exactly.
Right. That's the only positive side to that is that versus 1,000 negative sides. So, oh my God, wow, that's terrible. I don't want to hear that one. That's bad. All right, let me grab a couple of these. I can make this work. Mike says, "Evening, everyone. Time for some fun." Who has that? Who's got that background voice?
I'm hoping it's not me.
Hold on. I will tell you in
Curtis.
Was it Curtis?
It's probably me.
Okay, there we go. Curtis
What's it
Curtis
sound
is
like?
messing up for everybody. Curtis messing everything up.
I was unprepared.
There we go. Andrew says the dehumanization campaign has been going on for decades. It's made it easy to name call. This point that Daniel brings up, thank you for being a member, by the way, Daniel, is exactly true. And if you see very often, you find the beginnings of the conversation start with dehumanizing the other. They're not real. They're evil. They're a fascist. They're a Marxist. They're an insert word that says this person is no longer real. What I call the one-word story, right? One word is now who you are, so I don't have to listen to you at all. That's how that works. And I think it's true. Dee, you're nodding your head.
I mean, it means nothing anymore. You can get called all this stuff. And then when you turn around and said, what does that mean? They normally don't even have the right definition to give back to you. They just scream, oh, you're a fascist. And then you say, what does that mean? Oh, Trump, this bad, whatever. You know what I mean? They just scream.
Yes.
And a lot of this is, internet back and forth that a lot of these people forget that face to face, sometimes you get punched in the face when you start talking. I mean, I'm all for non-aggression principle. But don't come in my face screaming that crap when I'm trying to get away from the situation.
He is going to lay you out. He is going to lay you out. You're going to see her. She's going to she's going to lay you right out. Absolutely. I love that idea. No, I think there's an important piece here, right? Is that so many people spend so much of their time in a bubble that they don't have an answer, Dee, not because they don't know it, because they've never needed to know it. Because everyone in their bubble immediately agrees. So why would I have to have an argument, right? The second I say Bobby Kennedy's crazy, everybody in my circle already agrees with that, already believes. I don't have to have a reason for that. I don't have to have an answer for that. I can just say it. Everybody agrees, and we all have a nice laugh. We don't fix anything, but we all have a nice laugh. And I've seen people. I live in New York City. This is a true story. I'm in a deli today. This is today? Yeah, today. and there's a woman on the phone talking to her friend. And she's saying, yeah, she was on a date with a guy. I'm listening because we're in line to buy something. I forgot what I was going to buy. But anyway, I think it was, did I buy mustard? I forgot. Anyway, I was buying something in a deli. I forgot what it was. And anyway, so I'm in a deli and she says, yeah, she had to be on the phone and, you know, asking him on a date, you know, like, how does he feel about Tesla? Because she had to figure out what his politics were. I was like, wow, she's on a date and she's got to figure out Tesla or not. So this is the funny part. When she says that, literally a Cybertruck drives down the street. So I tap her and I say, hey, there's your truck right there. Right? I don't know who she is. I'm just teasing her because I don't care. So I go, there's your truck right there. And she laughs. She goes, yeah, I hate Elon. That's what she says. And I thought, this is New York. She's a lefty. If this was 2 years ago, she loved Elon. This is to your point, Jerry. They made Elon a bad guy, and now she hates Elon. She loved him too. I don't know this woman, but I'm 100% sure. I will bet any amount of money. 2 years ago, she loved Elon Musk.
Larry, it's even worse than that. I was talking about this woman who didn't vaccinate her kids, and then all of a sudden she's pro, and she hates Bobby Kennedy now because Bobby's this. And of course, you know, ivermectin is, you know, horse paste.
Dewormer. Don't you know that? What's wrong with you, Jerry? Come on.
Dewormer, that's right. Pasty dewormer.
They would never lie to me.
And she watches somebody who I used to really enjoy on MSNBC all the time, who said that, who put up phony pictures of people in the summer wearing fur coats and all the rest of that. But she's sick. She is so sick after her 7th or 8th COVID shot. And
Jerry, now hold on. Now I know mine. Because if you get 6 shots, you're perfect. You're immune to everything.
Well, unfortunately, she wasn't. She's probably the only one. And
the only one. Okay.
My wife said to her, you know, we've got some ivermectin. Maybe that'll help you. No. But she's getting sicker. Finally, she says, okay, I'll try it. Now, my wife is not trying to make a point. She loves this woman, and she's like the only person that actually cares about her anymore. And 3 days later, the symptoms are all gone, and she's fine. Do you think she might say, maybe I was wrong? No. The next thing out of her mouth is, can you believe what he just said about measles?
Yep. I believe it completely. Because
that's the scope of the problem.
Yes, they can't. You can't break the worldview. You just can't. You can't break the worldview.
So the answer, Larry, I agree with you. It's the answer to every question in the world. The answer is love.
Yes.
That's the only answer that there is. And so we have to find the love in our heart and the empathy and the compassion and just like listen to them and not argue. I will
give you the example I give with addicts. Now, my mother was an addict. For those of you who don't know, my mother was an addict. And I'll go out of my way to say, I want you to do your best to not always trust an addict, because an addict, for those of you who know about addicts, an addict will always pick the substance over you. That's why they're an addict. That's how that works. It has nothing to do with you. It's not because they don't love you or do love you. It's because they're an addict, and they will pick the substance over you until they're ready to not be controlled by that substance. Until that time comes, they're going to pick the substance over you every single time. That's how that works. And my mother picked the substance over her own child. That's how that works. I felt it personally. I didn't like it then, and I can say that now. I didn't feel it then at all. But with that in mind, I'll say the same thing. You never know, to your point, Jerry, which I love you is going to get through. Is the first I love you, the 20th, the 50th, the 100th? I don't know. But if you love that person, you keep trying, and you hope one of them gets through. And eventually one of them got through with my mom. It did happen. My mom was clean before she passed. Everything was great. We had a great relationship before she passed. It all came back the way I wanted it to come back. But you're right. I'm with you, Jerry. I think you're correct. Dee, you no. You don't like the empathy piece. You want to punch people.
No, what? I just watched a video where this guy is in a Tesla, and he has a window open, and he's got a sign on the window that says I love Elon or something, and he's got this gun that's full of poop, feces or something. So people are coming up to the car, kicking the car, ripping the sign off, going up to the window, and then he expels all the poop onto these people, and it's hilarious. But you
Okay,
say
I'm still gonna
love,
watch that.
and these
Yes.
people are going to Teslas. They do not know these people. They do not know why they bought this Tesla. Maybe they
Yep.
bought an electric car, but they hate Elon.
Who
You
knows?
can't go up to people's property like that and destroy it and not be held accountable. So.
Well, but unfortunately, shooting the poop at them is not going to make them stop. The only thing that will work is to send them to El Salvador. Now, that's the answer to our problems.
El Salvador is the answer. I agree. That's the answer.
Love or El Salvador.
Do you remember that skit from Parks and Recs? It's the South American general who, whenever something goes wrong, he goes, "How come no one sent him to jail? If in my country, if this happens, straight to jail. You do this, to jail. You do this, to jail. My country's great because of jail." That's what he says. Yeah. And obviously he's joking, but I think we're with El Salvador. That could be Jerry.
Well, listen, that Venezuela is great again, right? They sent us all, whatever they did with the criminals, put them in jail, sent them here, whatever. And yeah, so there we go. The political debate again. Both sides can't see the other's arrogance and nastiness and extremism. And so the answer is either open up the borders and let the millions come through no matter what they're up to, or round them up, whether they are or they aren't. We'll assume that they are and send them away. There's no middle ground here anymore. And that's why, Larry, it's time for you to get going with that middle party. You've got to really.
I'm with you. I'm with you, my friend.
And I wish the libertarians could be there, but they're too all over the map. It's not going to, they're unable to coalesce, really. We need to have a new party.
A new party.
We need a new party, the People's Party, We the People, something like that.
Okay.
And Larry,
I love the idea of independent parties. I do. I love it like there's no tomorrow. I've been in court with Green Party people. I've been in court with We the People in North Carolina. I've been independent. The LaRouche people here in New York. I've been in court with them too. Absolutely. But it is not as easy as you think, Joe. We have a lot of work to do.
I don't think it's easy, Larry. That's why I'm tasking you with the job, because you're a Marine.
You're not wrong. Let me go over to Rumble real fast. Joel, thank you for the Rumble rant. It goes both ways. When I was in 4th grade, we had an assignment to write to someone in Congress. The Honorable Center's full name. I wrote Jacob Davis. Don't age me. Now it's vile names online. Wow. It's you know what? It's true, right? When I see that the honorable title, and anyone who's elected is supposed can have an honorable title, part of me, Joel, does laugh at it. But I get it. I understand why they have, but part of me does laugh at it. It's a valid point. Let me grab if I could real fast.
Jerry said too, real quick. One thing that both sides will agree on, Jerry, is keeping people like Larry Sharpe off the ballot and third party. And it doesn't matter if it's libertarians or Green or the New Party or the Constitution Party. They both will be lockstep in whatever new party you want to start. They will spend every dime they can to demolish it. Okay, go ahead, Larry.
All right, let me grab a couple of super chats. Peace, thank you for the $2. On keto, no processed foods. I feel great. Me too. See, Jerry, keto is magic. You don't get it. Keto is magic. It has magic powers.
No processed food is magic.
But see, I'm ignoring that part, magic. Jerry. I'm ignoring that part, and I'm only paying attention to the part that I like, which is the keto part. See?
You can be healthy, you can be a warrior, but you don't need to eat meat. Now, if you choose to do that, be my guest. Eat it until it comes out of your ears if you want to, as it says in the Bible. But the truth is, get rid of the other stuff. That's what we have to agree on. Again, once again, we have the divide. The vegans and the ketos and the paleos and the carnivore. No, let's get to what we agree on. The additives, the poisons, what Bobby Kennedy is doing. I mean, I can't enough say how if it wasn't for us, I don't think Bobby would be where he is. And if Bobby wasn't where he is right now, it would have been game over for our society. I think he's the one spark of hope that we have, as slim as it is, because The violent attacks against him are just simply outrageous. The lies, the slander, the misrepresentations.
Look, I want to be clear. I'm not under any illusions. I know that Bobby Kennedy Jr. is not a libertarian. I get that. I understand that completely. With that in mind, he still was the best shot we had for making it an impact last year. There was no candidate who wasn't mainstream who had any better chance of impact. That's just true. And I wish he had stayed in and run the entire thing, but he did make impact. He did change. He showed something else. He did show that an independent person or campaign could influence policy. That he did show. Prior to Bobby Kennedy doing the Maha thing, Trump was not talking about health. He was not talking about food. He wasn't talking about any of that stuff. That was not even part of his platform at all, fam. That wasn't part of his platform. Now it's part of his platform. So I will give Bobby Kennedy credit where credit is due. Without question, he was able to get what he wanted to get done. He got a real position, HHS. He's getting stuff done. You know what? Well done, Bobby Kennedy. Well done. That's what I'll say.
I mean, I've been a vegan for over 35 years, and I have.
I know that. That's why I was teasing you on a keto piece. I was purposely baiting you on that.
And that's why. And so saying that, I have vegan friends that will not support Bobby Kennedy, and I'm like, what's the matter with you? What's the matter with you?
Let me grab some more. I have some more. I got some more super chats.
Okay.
I'm gonna grab. Lunatic says, "Thank you for the $4. Fights in Times Square. I've abandoned entertainment tonight. I want liberty and freedom. Me too. I am with you." He goes on to say, "Programming accurate, always is." And lastly, Chris, you're not talking. Curtis, you're not talking. He wants you to talk. So, Lunatic said you were. So we've been yapping. Chris, tell us what you think.
Oh, well, I'm more of a listener and a writer than a talker, but I'll give you some.
Well, pretend you're writing, right? Pretend you're.
But you've got a beautiful voice. Listen to that beautiful radio voice that you have.
There we go.
Let us hear it.
I know that's why I narrate stuff that I write on my channel, but no, on the matter of the processed foods and stuff, I feel like I'd rather just have no regulation. Because a lot of and get rid of the subsidies and stuff that is pushing all the junk into our food, like corn syrup. I think that, like, if you just left it alone, our foods would naturally be in their simplest forms. Because it doesn't make sense really to, besides waste byproducts, and then too, it comes on your responsibility as a consumer to buy foods that you know are not made with like waste byproducts or processed foods. Like, that's part of it. Freedom too is having the responsibility to take care of yourself. And
it's a good point, right? And I used to bring this up. I brought this up on Joe Rogan like 7 years ago. I was talking about the same concept. I said, you don't require the FDA to enforce things. Sadly, because of where we are, we kind of have to because of the way the world works. But in theory, we don't have to. And here's my example. My example is health food stores. If you go to a health food store now, a natural food store now, some local place, that most of the stuff in those, not most, probably 99% of the stuff in that store is not regulated by the FDA. So is it safe? It is, because it's third-party tested. It is third-party tested to say it's clear or not clear, and it's clearly labeled. It must be clearly labeled, to your point. It must be transparent in what's in it. It's labeled. The healthiest people you know shop in those stores, right? Where are all the deaths from natural food stores? Where are all the deaths from health food stores? There aren't any, right? And they're not regulated. I mean, they are, but just to be transparent and to not say things that aren't true. That's it. But they're not approved by the FDA to treat anything, approved by the FDA to fix anything. They're not. They just, here's what it is. Enjoy. But there was, if you guys remember, years ago, maybe about 20 years ago, maybe, there was one thing that was that people were afraid of. You guys remember ephedra?
Yes.
You remember that back in the day? About 20 years ago, give or take? I loved ephedra. I was not against ephedra at all, but people were afraid because I think some baseball player had a heart attack or something, and they thought, oh my God, ephedra is now killing people. And what happened? Well, immediately it was pulled from the shelves, not by the government. Health food stores stopped selling it. And now the only way you can get it is like you buy it online from the country or something. But in America, they don't sell it anymore. But it wasn't banned. So the actual market, to your point, Curtis, the market works faster than the government. The government still has stuff now that's killing people every day. Still, you can buy it in the store every day, killing people every day. The market worked faster.
It always does.
There we go.
When
There we go.
yes, in a honest, in a fair market. Unfortunately, in a corrupt market, that's not true. In a market where food producers can put additives that are addictive, and where they can advertise it over and over on TV, it's exactly like in the pharmaceuticals. All those drugs, put all those drugs out there. I agree, but the advertising, advertising is just. KFC.
Ryan says, I love KFC. Consequences be damned. He's not wrong. It is delicious. He's not wrong. KFC is delicious. I'm not saying I agree with eating KFC every day. I'm not saying that, but it is delicious. I do love the taste of the chicken. It is delicious. That's all I'm saying.
But Ryan should have the choice to eat KFC in the corner of his room till he passes away from KFC overdose if he wants.
Yes. Is that a thing, Dee?
Is that a thing?
Yes.
The slippery slope is with this dye ban.
But how about its children?
It might be dyes now, but what about in 20 years when it's something that you want to eat? That's what I don't like about it, is we're a slippery slope. Whenever the government comes in and bans something, I just say, why? Because we're just starting down. And I'll use Moms Demand Action with their gun. They want to take your guns away, like everybody wants to ban the dyes in the food. They want to ban the guns. They'll tell you they want to take your AR-15s. No, they want to start with AR-15s and get those down. Then the assault rifle or the assault weapon will turn into your pistol. So the same thing can be with the dyes. They might be taking the red dyes out now, but what about in 20 years when it's not the dyes anymore? It's you're only going to eat, you peasant can only eat beans and rice and whatever. You just never know. And I just hate that because of government overreach, period.
Yes, look, in my perfect world, would I prefer to be much more open? Yes, I would. I'm just being realistic here. The most people didn't even know the dyes were poison. They had no idea they were even poison. And without someone like Bobby Kennedy doing what he did, now people go, oh, those dyes are poison? I know. I grew up on those dyes. My mom gave me cereal in the morning, which was nothing but poison, filled, to your point, Curtis, with just corn syrup, filled with all those dyes. And my mom read the label. It said 8 vitamins and minerals on it. That's what it said in the label, right? It said part of a healthy breakfast. So my mom thought, oh, I'm being good to my kid. It's sweet and he likes it and it's healthy for him. And she believed it. And I think tens of millions of moms have been doing this for years.
Well, now you're going to start getting me down the food pyramid rabbit hole, because that's government overreach right there. Telling the government coming out and putting this ridiculous pyramid out, telling you to eat, 4 servings of bread a day. And I know Larry's keto. I do eat carnivore. I cheat from time to time. And Jerry, I was a vegetarian for a little while, and I watched all the vegetarian documentaries and things like that. And it just wasn't for me. And I respect you, though. You're a vegetarian. You eat all the veggies you want. In my eyes, we're not supposed to be that way. But I would hope that you don't care that I eat meat, and a lot of it. So
and a lot of it, she says.
I just care about the poor animals that are living in the feedlots. I don't care about those. I care about the horrible conditions.
I do too.
Yep.
And to be forward, Jerry, I do too. And I say this, and I've said it a lot of times on this show. I spend a lot of time and a lot of money spending that time and money to make sure I get the appropriately humanely dealt with animals, like grass-fed, pasture-raised. I go out of my way, and I know I'm spending extra cash, and I don't mind. I spend the money. I don't have a fancy watch. I don't have a fancy car. I don't have fancy clothes. I take my money and I put it on good food and humanely taking care of food. I do that.
And look about the government overreach there when you're talking, Jerry, about those those big industrial type things. I hate that. And the government comes in and regulates them. Then they come after the little guy to swallow up that small farmer that has their cows grazing on good grass and good grain and what they're supposed to be, versus these chickens that are, on top of each other with no sunlight and stuff like that. I totally agree with you on the animal aspect and factory farms of whether you're eating vegetarian or you're eating chickens and beef. I totally understand that.
Absolutely. I got to grab a couple more of these if you don't mind, guys. I'm going to get a bunch of them. Lunatic says, producers versus consumers. Look, I tell my daughters this. We are all consumers in some way, shape, or form. The idea is, what do we consume and how much do we consume? But we all consume. The question is, are we also producers? I tell my daughters, you have to be creating things. You don't want to just be a consumer. You want to also be a producer. I agree with the Lunatic 100%. He also says, I don't need a production weapon when I understand metallurgy and physics. Also, I understand written policy of government. I chose anarchy skill sets. Well, look, if that actually happens, the advantage of this is for those anarchy types, the prepper types, if shit hits the fan, I'm going to go hang out with Lunatic. I'm going to go hang out with him, right? I'm going to hang out at his house. So I luckily have many friends upstate New York who think the same way you do, Lunatic. So I know where I'm going if shit hits the fan. So I'm with you. So anyway, you're nodding your head, Dee. You're on board?
No, I agree. I'm going to Lunatic's house too, and I'll bring my ammo that I lost in a boating accident.
She's
with
bringing
my
ammo.
Gun. But yeah,
she's bringing ammo and guns. I'm bringing food. We're good. Like I'm saying, we're good. We're all good.
I have a question for the panel.
Okay.
Do you believe?
I'll watch the front gate.
Please do. Do you, talking about this free market and no government regulation, do you think vaccines should be unregulated? Do you think that should be able to do whatever they want with vaccines, that they can advertise them and lie about them and everything, and there should be no safety checks? I'm seriously curious about this.
No. I am totally with you on this. And look, and this goes back to reality versus perfect world, right? In a perfect world, what would happen in my magical, perfect libertarian utopia is that anytime something would go wrong, there would immediately be lawsuits that would be able to repair this and fix this and make things whole. Now, that's obviously a libertarian utopia, right? So I recognize we're nowhere near that. Should we be moving towards that world? I think we should be moving towards that world. Absolutely. Right now, what I want is the most freedom of choice we possibly can get. That's what I want. So that's why, even though when it comes to my ideology, do I like the banning? No, of course I don't. But I also recognize that that's something we had to do to get the population to understand it's a bad thing, because working against that, to your point, is a massive government infrastructure that is literally brainwashing people into believing that Cheerios is good for you and Fruit Loops are a good breakfast and dyes aren't bad for you. And you have any problem at all, your answer is eat more bread and take a pill. And that's what the government has been saying for the past 50 years. So we have to counter that. And if to counter that, I have to use banning, I'm okay with that, even though logically I don't like it. That's where my head is, Jerry. Go ahead, Dee.
No, I agree. But it's a slippery slope. I hope in 20 years we're not having the conversation that, gosh darn it, it all started with that red dye ban, and it's gone downhill from there. Again, if you want to sit in the corner and eat Cheerios till the end of time, I think that the free market, knowing if people would be more educated about their food choices and realize that when you're looking at a box, food in a box, and you're looking at 15 ingredients, that it's best to go pick a box maybe with 4 ingredients instead. And I understand.
Yes, right.
Parents are busy. Parents are rushed. That's part of the problem, is everybody's in a big damn rush that nobody wants to go to the market and just buy their dinner for the night and go home and cook their veggies or their beef or whatever and quit eating out of a box. And I did, like I said with Jerry, I did go down this rabbit hole of there's a couple documentaries, Forks Over Knives. I'm sure Jerry's probably watched that one. Fed Up. That's a good one to show what your government does to your food in any conventional setting. Your food that you're getting at Publix or the grocery store or Walmart, the stuff that's not at your local farmers market where they're out, you know, and they've got these farms where these cows are raised. I'm talking about conventional food. If you guys knew what goes on with your food, you wouldn't even be worried about necessarily the 15 things in your boxed food. You'd be looking at the processes that your food goes through before it even gets on your table.
Yes, yes. And Phil, thank you for $2. This is where the world should go if we could. Advertise whatever you want, don't commit fraud. Now, the problem is, though, is that they get away with it. Right? That's the problem. But again, this is our perfect world, Jerry. In our perfect world, someone who commits fraud would be punished. Sadly, we know they're not. But that's what, again, that's the difference between what I would like the world to be and what the world actually is. Right? That's the difference. What I would like it to be versus what it is. So yeah, that's where that's what I think he's talking about. Let me grab a couple more of these if I can. I have a bunch of these. I do want to go down here. Let's see here. Lunatic says respect is earned. Well, conceptually, what was supposed to believe happened, Lunatic, is if you had won the election, that was how you earned the respect. That was the concept behind that. I'm not sure that's true anymore with the way the system works and it's so rigged, but that was the idea behind it. So they were thinking that, at least when they said that. That was the concept. So yeah. Mike thinks you were wrong. He says neither were good, meaning MTG or that other dude with the cane. And Republicans did call out MTG. Yeah, little bit, Mike. I mean, little bit, not really much. I mean, MTG is still super popular. She still is, right? I think that. Kim says, I see this as Donald Trump gave the green light for this kind of conduct with his own conduct in the 2015 and 2016 rallies. You know, is this your slippery slope, D? Is this the slippery slope? Did Trump, by not being the standard normal candidate type, right? By not being Mitt Romney or whatever, right? By not being that guy, did he open the floodgates and make this happen?
I mean, because he's like not the politician, right? That's him back then. Is he ran on? He was not the politician, like the other people that he was running against. But I think the way that he acts definitely created the way people are acting now. And if you noticed, Trump's right back to saying stuff like he did right after the election of 2020. You know, I won. It was stolen. We had record this. I did that. Just shut up. And I don't know. It's just so annoying because it's right back to where he was, where it's just constant. I'm this. I'm great. I'm this. Just let's talk about the issues that you ran on. I still see the IRS is still there. I thought he ran on abolishing the IRS. And
no, he did not run on that. He talked about that a little bit. He teased us with that one. That wasn't the policy. Being fair, that was not a policy. That's what we wanted to hear, D. Just that's what he did not actually run on that. I'm being fair again. He did talk about it. Remember, his concept was could we make enough on tariffs to end the IRS? That was just a chat. That was not one of his policies. I wish it was, but I'm just being fair. That was not one of his policies. That's all I'm saying.
Sometimes I think it would be easier if he just was quiet. That's all. Then
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. I'm totally with you. So let me grab a couple more of these if I can. Oh, let me ask them before I go. Jerry, do you think it was because of that? Do you think Donald Trump started this?
I think it started way before Donald Trump. I think what Donald Trump did is he saw what he could use. I mean, he's an adapter. He's a chameleon. He's, you know, and he saw, you know, watched the professional wrestling. He saw the relationship between politics and I don't even think he wanted, you know, I thought this was entertainment for him. He just wanted to have The Apprentice back on TV. He was, you know, sad about the money he was losing, and this was a way to get some publicity. I think he was surprised. And then he found himself in a position where he didn't know what to do when he got into that office. And the rest, you know, we see the people that he hired some really horrible people that led him in the wrong directions.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't think he started this, but I think what he did is he's taken the game and he's learned to play it very, very well. and he learned how to win it. And one of the ways that you win at this game is you just claim you're winning all the time, and you get
He does do that.
Yep, and get everybody to say that you're winning all the time. And every time somebody goes on there, thank you, President Trump. If it wasn't for President, and in some sense, it's true.
It's true. They always say that. You're right.
And it is true in one sense. In another sense, they're simply doing it, because the guy is an egomaniac.
Yeah, no, I think there's some truth to that. Missy says, use the join button to become a member. She's right. If you guys want to become a member, you can, right? Just head on over, click that join button. You can become a member. It's $49 per month. You might go, Larry, $49 per month. That's like $5. You're right. That's like a cup of coffee in New York City. That's right. So if you live in New York City, buy a cup of coffee. You don't, become a member. It's that simple. Same amount of money. And here's what you get. You get this kind of content every single day, almost every single day. You get this. Usually sometime around 7 when I'm not late, and I'm late all the time, but usually sometime around 7 you get this. And you get handsome people like me and Jerry. Sorry, that's what we're the handsomest guys here. It's just true. D, you're not a guy, and I can't see Curtis.
I'm not here. My phone overheated.
Yeah, so I can't see Curtis. So Curtis, you might be handsome, but we can't see you, so I can't call you handsome. So, but anyway, my point
I'm
being,
not.
you get to have that. Okay, he's not. There we go. Problem solved.
Already married. It doesn't matter. So.
Oh, don't tell your wife that. She wants to still have a hottie. It's fine. All good. All good. You can also become a member on Rumble if you want to, $49. Also, please do that if you can. But if you cannot, there are 2 ways you can help tremendously. One of them is to share or repost this, right? Share it on Facebook, change your Facebook group, whatever the case may be. And the last one, which I bring up constantly, please click the button known as like. This is what makes this thing grow. It makes Mr. Rhythm, Al Gore Rhythm. It makes him love this, and he shares the show. So please do that if you would. It really does matter. I know I bug you every time, but I do it because it matters. And of course, Pete coming in hot. Pete Clark comes in 36 trillion, 215 billion, 578 million, 799,000, $286.87. The national debt. And as I said it went up even more. Yes, this is to your point, D. He did talk about the debt, which again, I'm happy he spoke about it. No one else does. Bobby Kennedy, by the way, also spoke about the debt. Bobby Kennedy talked about trying to fix it by making a, a crypto and a precious metals reserve to try to back the money, to deal with it. And whether people like that or not, the most important thing is we finally talked about it. Trump talked about it because Bobby did, and Bobby talked about it. Maybe one day we'll actually fix it, but at least talked about it.
I don't think the problem is the debt. I think the problem is why we have the debt and how the money has gone to the top 1% and not to the people. I don't think there's a problem with the debt because we can print as much money as we want. It's not... with the bank, the bank can do what it wants. We are the bank.
Oh, I
the
like
Federal
that.
Reserve is the bank. But the bank is giving money to the corporatists, to the people that are making more and making it worse. That's my point.
A little bit of pushback, Jerry, a little bit.
Okay.
What if the Federal Reserve said, hey, Americans are in trouble. They're in trouble. So here's what I'm going to do. Because I'm the Fed and I can print all the money I want, I'm going to absorb all of America's consumer debt. Just going to absorb it all. Take it all in, pay it all off. And I'm going to do that every 10 years. I'm going to give every American a mulligan every 10 years. Should we do that?
The problem is that that's only enticing the banks to charge their exorbitant interest rates, 24%, 30%.
Who cares? I'm charging off the debt. I'll take a 97% interest loan. I don't care. 10 years is getting absorbed by the government. I don't care. What's your rate? 2,000%. Deal. I don't care. I'm going to be $10 million in debt in 10 years, and the government will just take care of it.
No, you won't, because that's the problem. The rich guys will get the debt, not you. You won't be able to get it. The Fed will not give it to you.
What I'm saying is, what if they did? You're saying that isn't the problem. The problem is, you're saying that the problem isn't the debt. So I'm saying, great, let's keep the debt going up. And every 5 years, they absorb all my debt. At this point, I don't care what your interest rate is. Make the interest rate 1,000%. It's fine. I'll buy like 3 houses and absorb my debt.
absorb the debt for anybody whose net worth is under 100,000 or 2 or 500,000.
I love that idea. Okay. So if they did that, that'd be okay. I love that idea. Because I would have no net worth. I'd be in such debt to be insane. I would have negative net worth. I'd be in such debt.
Exactly.
Now,
well, and if they keep printing money, a $10 million debt doesn't seem like a lot when you have to pay $1 million just to get groceries.
But doesn't matter, Curtis. Every 5 years they're taking all my debt. I don't care.
We've got homeless people.
I'm good.
We've got homeless people on the streets. We've got kids that don't get fed, and that's the problem. The debt, to me, I mean, it could be an issue, but that's not the real problem. It's a little bit of a red herring as to the inequality that exists in our country, and how the poor people are the ones that are getting hurt. Sorry for getting so serious on you.
No. Seriously, fine. I completely agree with you. And I'm saying that wealth inequality is a serious problem. You are absolutely correct. It is one of the there are many reasons about it, but it's one of the reasons why New York State's losing much population, right? There are many reasons, but that's one of them. And because in New York State, by the way, which has the most government interference of all states, we have the worst wealth inequality of all 50 states. The worst. Our Gini coefficient is the worst of all 50 states. I agree with you completely. My point is, though, New York State is in debt. New York State spends lots of money. New York State has all types of government programs. And what does it result? Failure. The answer is that the debt, I think, in my view, is a problem. And two things are true. And wealth inequality is a problem, both. But I would rather, if I could, do what people are talking about now, which is remove the barriers from the little guy to becoming more and more powerful so that the little guy can step up. I don't want to focus, this is my view, I don't want to focus on knocking down the Goliaths, because then it's just more Goliaths pop up. I want to focus on building thousands upon thousands of Davids. So many Davids that the Goliaths will always be afraid, and one will always be getting taken out by the David. I'd rather have that happen. And that's just my view. I think the debt is a big problem. I think it crushes us in many ways. And here's the reason why the debt is bothered. By default, whenever they raise the debt, the money first goes to the bankers. By default. Every time they take out more money, it first goes to the bankers. So they get the least effect of inflation. Who gets the worst amount? People who are on fixed incomes. That money goes to them last. So you're on Social Security, you're on disability, you're on EBT. You get hammered the worst every single time because your buying power is the lowest of all of them. So I'm with you, Jerry, in the wealth inequality. I just think the debt is a critical piece that we've got to deal with because I think it does.
Larry, I saw this. Ryan posted something in the chat about how Trump saved Trudeau and kept the liberals in power in Canada.
True.
Wow.
True.
I wonder what people think about that.
The Canadians, it was, if you go back about 3 or 4 months ago, it looked like a slam dunk. Trudeau was gone. The Conservatives were going to come in. Now, they're Canadian conservatives. So that's not an American conservative. But still, it's different. It's different. But they were going to come Trudeau. In. Correct. Yes, and not Trudeau. Yes, correct. And then Trump kept saying 51st state, governor, then tariffs, then hammering them. And all of a sudden, Canadians went, you know what? F me? No, F you. And they said, you want this guy? You're not getting this guy. And look, while I don't think that was a good move necessarily for the Canadians, I still got to say, well done. I mean, good for you, Canadians. You stood up for yourselves. You told us go to hell. I mean, respect for that, at least respect for that. You did tell us go to hell. Well done.
Well, so maybe the Western provinces will become the 51st state, and Trump will be right again.
Well, the problem with it is Trump doesn't get that Canada can't come to us as a 51st state. That's not how it works, and no one has corrected him because no one takes it seriously. But if he was serious about it, then he should have spoken seriously. And if he was joking, he should have made an obvious joke. He did neither. His communication on this was terrible. It could not have been worse. If he was serious about it, he should have said, hey, look, how Canadian law works, which I covered this on a video, which is Is it possible? Canada is not individual states. It's not the states of Canada. Canada is one country, one nation, and that's what they have provinces. So the provinces would have to secede. If the province secedes, they could, in theory, if the Canadian government agreed. And by the way, and the King of England. I'm not joking. Canada is part of the Commonwealth. The King of England would also have to agree. I wish I was joking. I'm not. That's how the country actually works. So the King of England has to say yes, as well as the Parliament would agree for them to secede. If any of them seceded, if that happened, then they would have to apply to become a territory in America. And then our Congress would have to agree for each of them that came on to become a territory. Then, if they wanted to, they have to apply for statehood individually for our Congress also. That's the actual process for any Canadian provinces to become states. So is it possible? Yes. Will it happen? No, that's never going to happen. That's not a thing. So if someone actually told him that, he might have either said, I'm joking, ha, 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 or he might have shut up and not talked about it. Anyway,
no, he would say, I disagree with you. He'd say, I can do whatever I want. And even though it hasn't been done, and that's the law and that's the rules, I'm going to do it my way because I am Donald Trump.
You may be right. I stand corrected. You may be right. Okay. What he should have done. How about that? I'll say that. What I said is what he should have done. But you're right. He probably wouldn't have.
Do we really want Canada voting in our elections? I mean, is that what we really want? Is the Canadian people voting in our elections? I don't know.
Only the ones that agree with you, Dee.
Oh, of course.
I like that. I agree with you. Yes. To be forward, most Canadians would not want to become Americans. And it's obvious, most don't. Is there a chance, in theory, that some of the central states, non-coastal provinces, might want to join us? In theory, maybe. I mean, but then again, even if that were true, they'd have to go through all of those hoops. So like Manitoba or Alberta would have to say, we don't want to be Canadian anymore. We want to be American. And then get the King of England and the Parliament to say, yes, you may leave. You may secede from Canada. And then they have to apply. But yeah.
Larry, I spoke to our common friend, a physician that we had a conversation with.
Mm-hmm.
Who is now working in Victoria, British Columbia.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, he's taken a 3, and he says he loves it. As a physician, he loves it. He doesn't have to worry about money. He just gets paid a salary, and he likes it. He doesn't deal with the economics. His wife needed an MRI. She went in, she walked out. No thousands of dollars bill, just a report. Thank you very much. He says it is such an incredible. So. Honestly, I think that's one of the main reasons why Canadians, even though we hear about how bad their system is, I don't think they would exchange it for us at all, unless, maybe 10%, but most of them like that.
The doctors wouldn't change it. The doctors would not. I think you're right. Doctors probably would not, particularly if they were American doctors who had to bust their rump. The system, the way it works here, doctors are trashed in America. In fact, it's hard for you to find doctors nowadays who tell their children to become doctors. It's coming to a point where most doctors in America are foreign born. We're almost there. We're almost where they're all foreign born because the system is so broken. Doctors and families are gone. So for doctors, I think you're totally correct. If you're a doctor, you would be better off in a socialized system. I totally agree with you. Now, the question, though, is, do the people want that? That I'm not sure. Do the actual customers want that? And my argument would be, for the vast majority of wealthy Canadians, they leave Canada for service. They go someplace else. They often come to America for service. The average Canadian stays in Canada, but the wealthy Canadians leave. They go someplace else. The wealthy Brits leave. The wealthy French leave. So the wealthiest people of all those socialized medicine countries come to America when they're in trouble. So my gut would say the best service. So the best service is for the wealthy. This goes back to your point, Jerry, about our wealth gap. When you are wealthy, the best service is in America. When you're not wealthy, the best service is not in America.
But sometimes instead of going for perfection, go for good enough. I'm sorry, Dee. I'm saying good enough sometimes is much better than striving for the illusion of perfection that few get.
Good enough can work if you're still striving to move forward, right? Which is why I say in every plan I've ever made, I've never said get rid of safety net, right? Until you find something better, right? You work towards something better. When you have something better, then get rid of safety net once you've made something better. I get your point completely, right? If you just there's a lot of polling done about people and Medicaid and Medicare, and very often Medicaid, Medicare comes out on top. Why? Because it's compared to nothing. Compared to nothing, Medicare is amazing. Compared to nothing, VA is great. Compared to nothing, they're all great. The VA is not a great system. I'm a veteran. I know it's not a great system. However, compared to nothing, yeah. So I got nothing of the VA. I'll take the VA. But if my option would be what the wealthy get or the VA, I'm going what the wealthy get. I want that one. I'm sorry, Dee, go ahead.
So when I was about 22, I had to get knee surgery, and I was able to afford, and I was a self-employed housekeeper at the time, so I was able to afford a monthly premium. I think it was maybe, I don't know, $100 a month, and a $1,500 deductible back then to have knee surgery. Now that the grubby government has their hands meddled into the healthcare system, I cannot afford my monthly premium. I cannot afford a $15,000 deductible if I want the lower premium based off what I make compared to, like what Larry says, the people that are well off that can come into and pay cash for these type of scenarios. Or they're so low income that, of course, the taxpayers are the ones that are footing the bill for their lower bills through the subsidies that were mandatory at one point in time, right? And then they, I think Trump did come in and take that mandate off at least. But you always hear both sides saying, we're going to fix this, we're going to do this, but yet they keep voting it continually to stay. And I love it when people say, oh, see, that free market didn't work. They want to say that Obamacare is the free market. That's the stupidest crap I've ever heard in my life. So, and
what
this
Obamacare
also takes me back to the,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
What takes me back to the wealth gap talk too, to tie it in, is if the government wasn't involved in so much of our life, from literally the minute we are born and get a social security card and start social security, that more people would probably be more well off if government did not hold social security, the biggest Ponzi scheme ever created, over people's head from literally birth to death. It's just constantly this carrot that they hold over you.
Well, the funny thing is twofold. One, New York State has done all what you said, Dee. And what do we have? Over 50% of New Yorkers are on Medicaid or Medicare. So the government basically took over healthcare. And again, what's happening? Massive wealth gap and losing people. This does not work. Better system.
And listen up, kids, because what happens in New York will happen to all states. It just takes longer in states like I live, Florida and Texas. It's just going to take longer.
And the other thing I want to bring up is some people don't know this, but you don't have to have a social security number. It's not required. You don't have to have one. And how do I know this? I know a lot of people who are in the Amish community who literally don't give their kids social security numbers. They don't do it. They don't pay social security. They don't have a social security number. They don't have it. You don't have to have one. I'm not saying you shouldn't have one. I'm just saying you don't have to have one.
Can you renounce one once you get one?
No.
I'd like to fill that out, that paperwork out.
You can't renounce it. Once you got it, it is stuck with you forever. But if anyone having a kid now, you do not, if you don't want to, now there's some things you have to work on when it comes to getting a bank account and such, but you can get a bank account without a social security number. You don't have to have one. There's certain paper, and bankers don't know this. There's actually consultants in the Amish community that you can go to, and they will tell you how to get like a bank account and such. It's funny, but it's true. Anyway, this is interesting. Let me grab two more super chats. Ryan says, if the duopoly in Congress cared about the national debt, they would stop spending immediately, but they don't take it seriously. Good point. He goes on to say, in the UK, Reform UK did exceptional on local elections. I said earlier that Trump was quiet about Farage and reform. That's why they won. Yes, the world is mad at Trump. Not the world. A lot of the world is mad at Trump right now for the tariff thing, which I never got. I never understood this tariff stuff. I don't know why he did it. I hope he has some magic plan, and I'm wrong about this. I really hope there's some magic plan, because it does not look good at all. You're laughing, Jerry.
Yeah. I'm going to say maybe tariffs are like keto, just magic.
He should go on keto. That would fix it. That's the answer, Jerry. Yes. What was I thinking? Okay, that's our plan. D, that's our plan. We're going to get Trump on keto. Keto is magic. It will fix all the tariff issues.
Okay, well,
That's
keto,
hold on.
you eat
What
eggs
makes you
on
think?
keto.
Yep.
And eggs
What
are
makes
still
you think
expensive.
he's not keto?
Because he's too
He
big.
eats at McDonald's and stuff. If
And
he
eats
was
at
keto,
McDonald's.
he'd be so thin.
Yeah, absolutely.
He'd be
That's
so
true.
thin if he was on keto.
If he just didn't
100%.
eat the bun, right?
He wouldn't eat the bun.
But
he does eat
but
the
the
bun.
French
He does
fries
eat the
are
bun.
now in tallow, so they're going to be okay, right? The fried.
Nope. Better, though. Better. I would say that better, but no, not good. Yes, that absolutely. So yes. Sarah says, I was vegan 25 years and vegetarian a total of 32 years, also for ethical reasons. Now I raise my own animals and I'm beating cancer, among other things. Sarah, congrats. Congrats. See, I do think, Jerry, there are people out there, myself obviously included, obviously Sarah, who do care about the animals. I do. And I recognize that I spend more money on that and I'm okay with it. Like I accept that's what I would do. And some people, look, some people aren't in a financial spot where they can do it. I get it. Not mad at you for it. I've made decisions in my life to where I'm not going to buy certain things that I can spend the money here. That's a decision I've made. No judgment on anyone else. I'm just telling you where I am. So yes. Mike Voss says, turning Canada/Greenland/Mexico into a state is just a distraction tactic. Keeps media and TDAs busy as other things happen. It's just political trolling. Well, Mike, if it's true, it has backfired. If that's true, I'm not saying you're wrong. If that's true, it has backfired. You are finding people who are taking this seriously and getting upset. So yeah, that's just my view. Maybe I'm wrong on this. So I don't know. Anyway, Curtis, you're quiet. Something you want to say?
Well, I was thinking about how some people would call it or would throw a fit even if Trump created a communist society here and gave them everything they wanted just because he's got the wrong letter next to his name.
Yeah, I think there's a valid piece of what Mike is saying, which is TDS. There are people who, no matter what, are going to be mad at him. It doesn't matter what he does. It doesn't matter what he says. They're going to be mad no matter what. I think there's a trunk. But to be forward, I don't think that's the majority of Americans. I think that's a small percentage of Americans.
Yeah.
I think the vast majority of Americans actually don't really care either way. Just solve the problem, man. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. But that's what
Yeah.
I try to, every time I'm talking to people, I always want to keep that in mind. Like, generally most people are going to be willing to have a discussion, even if they don't agree with you. It's just every now and again, you get the crazy rampant tribal ones that come in swinging.
Absolutely.
That's for me too. I just drop the labels and try to talk about liberty as I just bring up the examples, and whether it's Biden or Trump, right? Let's look at both of them. Took away our gun rights, right? Trump did the bump stock ban, I think, in his thing, and then what did it? Old plugs came after the pistol straps, right?
Yep.
So again, both sides eroding your liberties away equally. So when somebody comes out, well, I'm a Democrat. I don't care what you are. What do you think about the government forcing you to give up your guns or give up your red dyes or give up this or give up that? I don't care what letter. And this is me. I'd love to get away with all political parties. No political parties. Everybody's non-party affiliate. You go to the voter box and you've got 10 names and you don't have any cheat R's or D's next to them or blue or red or even green or yellow. You just have to know your damn candidate and go to the voter box. And that's going to stop a lot of people from just voting blindly down party lines.
Well, to be forward, there are things that they're literally unconstitutional. And yet again, our judges have failed us. Number one, there are states right now that have what's called straight ticket voting. You press one button and all the Republicans voted for, all Democrats voted for. That is literally unconstitutional, and judges will say nothing. Why is it unconstitutional? Because parties are not in the Constitution. They're not. That's something we made up. Mm-hmm. So can parties exist? Of course. First Amendment says you can get together and create a party. Of course. Can parties control elections. Literally no, but they do constantly. Now, the next thing, what about printing ballots? Where's that in the Constitution? Not a thing. Printing ballots is a thing the state took over to control the ballot. What's supposed to happen is you write the name of whoever the person is, you put it in the ballot, and they count it. That's how the Constitution works. We've decided certain people can be on the ballot, certain people can't. Blatantly unconstitutional, not in the Constitution. We made it up. It was adjudged by political parties. Also, why does the state put a political party on a ballot? The state is paying to advertise a political party. Unconstitutional. Why does the state pay for primaries? Primaries are private organizations. That's unconstitutional. All of this shit is completely unconstitutional, and you can't get one judge who supposedly swears an oath to the Constitution to actually say, we can't do this. No, it's all over. You can't get one governor to say all these elections are bullshit. No, you can't get one. Why? Because they're all part of the system. It is utterly and clearly unconstitutional. There's no way you can defend this, and they do. I'm sorry, you got me ranting. That's your fault, Dee.
And that's part of the reason of this, the live stream, right, is the vulgar politicians. And it all started with the start of with political parties. It's about the biggest scam as the Ponzi scheme of Social Security. So I just wish that it would all abolish. And that, again, you're forced to know your politicians. I would love one day of voting. And what is that country where you go and you get a stamp on your hand that sits there for 2 weeks on your hand?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go back to that. Get your ass out on voting day. If you're sick, too bad. If you got to work, oh well, you're going to make a way to that voting, and you fill out your paper ballot and you get your stamp, and that's all she wrote. And if the Libertarian Party can do paper ballots, like you said, Larry, during their conventions, I think we could do it as a whole, as a society.
I think you absolutely could, but I'm not, I don't think we have to go that route, but I'm okay with that. I don't care. My issue is I don't want to, you can't legally or constitutionally ban political parties because that's still a First Amendment. We can get together. We can associate as we want to. Absolutely. However, the point is printing of the ballots, allowing people on debate stages, that's all done by parties. It should not be. It should not be done by that. It should be done by separate criteria that has nothing to do with party affiliation. And on the ballot should not be a political party. It should just be this guy's name. Well, how I know to vote for? Join your political party. Your political party should tell you. They can send you an email.
Actually
and say, hey,
figure out what you're voting for, you dinguses.
Your political party could say, hey, our guy that we think you should vote for is a guy named Jerry Deutsch. When you see his name on the ballot, you should vote for him. That's what political parties are supposed to do. They advocate for their, right? They don't let the state do it for them. They advocate. You should know when you walk in that room. Oh, I know Jerry because my political party that I agree with told me to vote for that guy. Done. I believe him. Or I do my own homework, to your point, Curtis. You do your own homework, or you believe your political party that told you what to do. You trust them. Okay, good for you. But they should not have anything to do with the actual ballots or any of those things. That's done by the government, totally separate. I'm sorry. You got me, guys. It's your fault, Dee. That's it. That's all your fault. So, yes. All right. Kim says, the Social Security number makes each of us commodity. That's the point, Kim. You are right. You're 100% right, and that's the entire point. You are now a number, and that's it. Jean agrees with you, by the way. She says, Obamacare raised my health insurance by 300%. Now I find out that if I don't apply for Medicaid next month, I'll be penalized. The Medicare system is so complicated that I seriously don't know where to turn for advice. I have friends who tell me that they pay more for healthcare on Medicare than they did before. Yes, and now the state, by the way, to your point, Jean, the state, New York State, pays private companies to walk you through the process. It's that complicated. Yes.
I disagree.
Tell me.
I think you go to Medicare.gov, you sign up online, and you get your card. It's really not that complicated to sign up for Medicare when you're 65 years of age.
Here we go, Gene. There's your answer. There's your answer.
You know, and I'd be happy to help anybody go through it. I mean, it's really that simple a process.
Here we go.
And I personally love it. I'm happy. I just tore my calf muscle, and I get to go see my osteopath. I get to go see physical therapist. I get to go have my MRI done. I get to go. I mean, that's great. It's almost like socialized medicine.
There we go. We get socialized medicine.
And that's one reason why we haven't mentioned his name, but Bernie Sanders, he's out there now, and I believe that's one of the reasons why the Clintons and the DNC power brokers knocked him off.
100%. Let me cover this fast. Phil says a hippie communist is libertarian if it's voluntary. Correct. Voluntary socialism is absolutely libertarian. 100%. If you choose to, you may be so. The Amish are libertarian. You voluntarily join the Amish. You decide to. You can give up your rights if you want to. Up to you. They're yours. 100%. Give up your money if you want to. They're yours. 100% you can. No worries whatsoever. But I want to cover, if I could, the idea of, I guess this concept of socialism, libertarian socialism. If people want to join these things, they should. I'm not against this at all, right? If people want to get together and create their own things, why can't we also create, as an example, which we don't do very well, which is why can't we also create, a system where it's like a gym membership for a hospital or a medical group? We could do that too. I think they're all fine. I don't mind them at all. But to your point about Bernie Sanders, I think you're totally correct, Jerry. What the Democrats have not done well is been economically left. And the American people, actually, there's a lane for them left-leaning economics. Now, I'm not a left-leaning economic. I know, guy, that's not me. But doesn't mean that Americans don't like it. Americans do like it. Americans want an answer. And I look at New York State and the country as polar opposites in this regard. In New York State, the Democrats are the party of bad ideas, and the Republicans are the party of no ideas. In New York State, there's no one who lives in New York State right now who can tell me any Republican policy except more cops. That's the only policy Republicans have, more cops. Nothing else in my state. So what do people do? They vote for Democrats because Democrats have answers. Clearly bad answers because people are leaving my state, but they have answers. Now, when it comes to the state, for the nation, the Democrats are the party of no answers. What was their answer for the problems? They said, well, whatever Biden said. Trump had answers. Sadly, some of them were tariffs, but those were answers. And people said, those are answers. Okay, if I'm in trouble, to your other point, Jerry, you made a lot of good points today. The idea of someone being in trouble, the idea of having a wealth gap. If I'm in trouble, I want an answer. I want you to do something. And if I'm going to be Biden and Harris and go, warm, fuzzy feelings, peace and love, or whatever they were saying, I go, that's not an answer. Trump says, I'm going to do these tariffs and you're going to watch all the money come in. And I'm going to invade Greenland or whatever he said. And then we get money or whatever. And people said, oh, that's an answer. Okay, let's take that. When there's no answer and a bad answer, people take the bad answer. It doesn't matter.
The answer is community normally is I would rather my community help me if I'm down in the dumps and have an issue than the government stepping in and giving me my cheddar. The way that the internet is now with GoFundMe's and GoSendGos and with people reaching out with friends, you can get word out and get more help with your community on a local level than you ever could with the federal government. And I don't care what they're sending you. If you've got your your stipend every month and your food stamps and everything else, it's never going to be enough. It's just enough to keep you on their side so that you won't revolt later.
Yeah. What government does very well is it services. It doesn't help. It's services. So you have a problem. Here's just enough to keep you in that spot so I can keep servicing you. That they're very good at. Other things, not always so great. It depends. Not always so great. That's very true. So anyway, I want to grab a couple of these if I can. I know I have a lot of people giving me pops pieces, so I do want to pop up some if I can real fast. Robert says, Bernie acquiesced. Robert, I agree. Bernie sold out in 2016. And from that, he never recovered. Bernie was supposed to keep fighting. And once he said, oh, be quiet and vote for Hillary, that's when everyone went, I thought you were special, Bernie. You broke my heart.
And didn't he get a lot of money for that too, and like an extra beach house or something too? I mean,
I don't know. People
sit
say
in the
that.
corner and take this and quiet down.
I don't know. That's what I've heard, but people don't like him, so they say things. So that could be true, but it could not be true. I don't really know. But then in 2020, he had a second shot. And a lot of people were like, okay, all right, I'll do it because maybe you learned your lesson. I'm back with you, Bernie. And then he sold out again. And now I know a lot of left-leaning economic people who don't believe him anymore. And I think this is why AOC is trying to jump on that train. Because AOC, for those of you who don't know, she's my congressperson. She actually decided that she was going to try to play the game. For those of you who don't know, she voted along with Pelosi. She completely sold out. And what did the Democratic establishment do? Well done, and stay in your lane, youngin'. You're not one of us. Stay in your lane. Wait your turn. And she went, but I sold out. What happened? I'm supposed to get my cut. I sold out. They went, yes. Dumb of you to sell out, wasn't it? You didn't learn from Bernie? You didn't learn from Bernie, you idiot? And then she went, oh, hey, Bernie, what are you going to do? He said, I got you. And that's why they're out doing it now. She is his heir apparent because he's no longer trusted. He's hoping that her charisma can overcome. And what she has started to do well, again, I know she's my congressperson. I've actually seen her in my community recently. And I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing here? You don't come back home. What you doing here? Like, it was surprising. When she first ran, she knocked on my door. Like, her first run, she was doing all the stuff. Then she was like, oh, now I'm one of the cool kids now. I don't do this anymore. And last couple of weeks, I've actually seen her in my community again, like walking on the streets. I've seen her walking on the streets. I'm like, wow, okay.
Our
Anyways,
GOP
yes.
congressman in our area hides from both sides. So, of course, he gets stock trades left and right. So he's one of the stock traders there that hopefully will get shot down by the Pelosi Act. I'll be happy for that. Yes,
absolutely. Shelly says, Larry, you're getting pretty good at saying that AOC is your representation without looking like you're about to toss your cookies. You got to remember something. Guys, where I live, I literally have no say in my government. None. I have none. Everything is so gerrymandered, and we don't have open primaries. So unless you are a Democrat, you don't get any, you get nothing. You get no say. I don't get to vote in primaries, and whoever wins Democratic primary wins the election. The Republicans locally have not run a candidate in my district now, I think almost 12 years. They have not run a candidate. So there's not even a candidate to vote for. My guys here locally, they win 99% to 1. The 1%'s write-ins. That's Kim Jong-un numbers. Do you know what I'm saying? That's Saddam Hussein numbers. Putin's jealous. Putin's like, what? How did you get those numbers? I want numbers like that. He's jealous. That's where I live. So I have no say. So I just have to hope that I get a good queen or king. That's my politics.
Larry, unfortunately, Hawaii is pretty much the same as New York.
There we go.
Corrupt mayor, corrupt governor, and they have no competition.
There we go.
So sad.
Well, Sarah likes us. Sarah says, Larry, thanks for doing member videos. They're awesome. They might be your best guest.
Aw.
Oh,
so nice. I love that. I love that. So with that in mind, guys, anybody want to say before I got a couple more I want to go through before I go there? Anybody want to say anything, talk about something, push something? Jerry, you're nodding your head. Go ahead.
First of all, I want to thank my wife. She is just so incredible and gives me the leeway to be able to mull ideas, have conversations. And a lot of what I say, is due to her intelligence and her support. And I really want to shout her out and thank her very much and say, we were part of Hawaii for Kennedy. We did heck of a job. And Larry, they pulled the rug out from us at the very end. I think we could have done it.
You and I were working together to fix that. Absolutely.
Yeah. And yet we can't look back. So I'm just going to say to everybody, let's keep moving forward. Let's keep speaking honestly from our hearts, doing the best we can. And remember, let love lead the way. Thank you.
There we go. Dee, you want to say something?
Yeah, if you want to follow me on social media, I'm on Rumble and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube at That Liberty Lady. If you care about liberty, that page is designated for that. I also started a virtual assistant business on the side. So if you need a virtual assistant or you know anybody that needs one, I do podcast moderations for Larry Sharpe, for instance. And I also do social media management and stuff like that. So anything I can do virtually, office related, give me a buzz and we'll see what happens there.
There we go. Curtis, tell us about your writing.
I am antisocial and I live in a shed and write stories.
Nice.
Narrate them.
What kind of stories though, Curtis? What kind of stories?
Mostly sci-fi and dystopian and horror stuff.
Oh, you are in the right room, my friend. We have sci-fi talks all the time on this show. Oh my God. You have hit the right spot. All right, where did they go see you? Tell them.
The YouTube channel, which is Audio Stories, and it's spelled like my name. It's ODDIO Stories on YouTube.
Audio Curtis with 2 S's.
Yeah, that's just my personal name, but it's the.
I like it.
Should be in the description, right?
It is absolutely. And we can see it right here. It's all good. You are in the right spot. You are definitely in the right spot. You 100%. So yeah. Let me grab a couple more of these if I could. I see. Hold on. Mike says government money always comes with strings attached. Correct.
100%.
Daniel's on your side. Daniel says family, church, community. That used to be the norm. And I think as you add more government, you tend to get rid of community, right? That's
kind of what I say a lot too, is like the government is kind of taking over the role of the church in a way, and the community and family. But your churches used to be your ones that would like help people out when they were struggling financially, and they would have like the orphanage. But it seems like anymore it's less and less.
Yeah, absolutely. Gene says, I remember a podcast where Larry Sharpe presented libertarian ways to do all the things that Sanders wanted to do. I did that, actually. I literally went on Bernie Sanders' website and I walked down everyone's policies and I gave a libertarian answer for every single Bernie Sanders policy. That's true. I did it just went down the road. I went right down. I think that was more than one show, I think. That was like 2 or 3 shows. I think it was. But yes, it was multiple hours. I think it was 6 or 8 hours total. Something like that. But yes, she is correct. I think it was 2020. I think it was. People were saying, well, Bernie's the answer. And I was like, okay, Bernie has answers. That's true. No doubt. Bernie was the only Democrat who actually had answers. And I give him credit for that. I think my answers are better than his. So I'll find that and I'll post it. Thank you for that. Remember that, Gene. I went on his website. I went to every one of his things. And I literally then gave a libertarian answer for every one of those things. Because I always have policy. I am a policy guru. That's what I do. I make lots and lots and lots of policy. So yes. Kayjon says, I'm with Jerry, 100%. I think Kayjon agrees with you. There we go. Yes. Sarah, I think Sarah wants you, D. She was a social media manager later this year. We should talk one day.
We'll connect.
She is good at what she does, by the way. She is good at what we do. So let me grab a couple more of these if I can. Shelly says, I remember that one. It was long, and you started every point with, where are my Bernie bros? There we go. Yes. So yeah, some people have been watching that. Yes, absolutely. So Sarah says, hey, Larry, I always want to ask the question, what brings you here to Sharpe Way, as a closing question? All right. Thank you for that. Let me ask a couple things if I could of my audience. Number one, please, guys, I'm serious. Click the like button. I know I bug you constantly. It does matter. I've been shadow banned since 2020 because of my views on the lockdowns, and I got to get around it. And the only way I get around is if you guys click that button. That's the way of doing it. That's the only way we can do it. And if you will share this someplace else, cut and paste this, repost this, do this. I need your help here to make this happen. Or I got to start getting sponsors and become like a corporate shill. And I'll get like Jerry will not talk to me anymore because I'll wind up getting like some farmer thing. I'll be like, but take this pill and everything will be great. And I'll have to be that guy. And Jerry will never talk to me again. I'll be that guy. So don't make me be that guy. It's your fault. If Jerry never talks to me again, it's your fault because you wouldn't click the damn like button.
Please, guys, please click.
Just click the button. It's true. Absolutely. So absolutely. And also, if you want to become a member, you get to be on shows like this. So join the membership if you want to. Appreciate it. $49 per month. Click that join button. And also, remember, Mr. Rhythm Algo loves afterwards, after this is over, live is done, if you would please put a comment on. And what I'm going to ask you to comment on is what she asked. Please tell me what brought you to Sharpe Way. What brought you here in the first place? Why did you show up here? I'm going to use her suggestion. Please do that. It does matter. And if you happen to be watching this when it's not live, it pops up. You can see 2 videos that pop up. Please click on one of those. I will see you all very soon.